Hello, I'm Kate Gardens, and this is our weekly market update for Friday, November 23, 2012. This week we will look at apartment rent trends compared to mortgage payments, in the Puget Sound region. Our focus is apartment research. But we have to pay at least a little attention to the for-sale housing market, because it is an option for consumers, at least for those who can afford it, and who can qualify for a loan. Based on the average home price and mortgage rates, so far this year in the Puget Sound region, monthly mortgage costs are lower than they have been since 1998. Adjusted for inflation, they are the lowest we have ever seen. And, comparing mortgage costs to rents, the premium paid by home buyers is at an all-time low. Some consumers are taking advantage of these trends. As the chart provided by Paul Hermie at TeamBuilder John L. Scott shows, sales activity has been trending higher since 2008. But there are still fewer sales in the region than we've seen since 2002. So why aren't more consumers buying homes in droves today? Even though mortgage rates generally trended lower over the past 30 years, mortgage payments rose steadily because housing prices were climbing. Apartment rents rose too, but as the graph shows, rents have been consistently lower than mortgage payments. This graph shows the same information, but adjusted for inflation, to current dollars. It shows rents have risen a little. But it also shows mortgage payments are at a 30-year low. Keep in mind, we have adjusted rents and mortgage payments for inflation over this period. Not only are mortgage payments effectively lower than they have been in decades, the mortgage payment premium, compared to apartment rent, is the lowest we have ever seen. Back in 1979, mortgage payments were about double rent. By the early 1980s, when interest rates went through the roof, 1 month of mortgage payment would pay 1 month of apartment rent plus almost 2 extra months of rent. The mortgage payment premium generally trended lower, until 2004. However, this time the increase in the premium was due to rapidly rising prices, not interest rates. But now the mortgage premium is just 27%. So, with owning a home being relatively more affordable than we have ever measured, why aren't consumers jumping back into home ownership in droves? At least some of the answer is that consumers no longer consider home ownership a path to wealth. Baby boomers are fortunate in a lot of ways. Getting closer to retirement now, it looks like boomers will receive full benefits from Social Security and Medicare. It looks like Generation X and Generation Y won't be so fortunate. If you're a boomer, it appears you have a lot to thank your children for. Boomers also did well in the housing market. They were active buyers in the 1980s. Overall, people who bought then saw their homes appreciate almost 5% compounded annually. By the 1990s, when Generation X was entering the housing market, buyers saw appreciation drop to an average of just 3% a year. Actually, in hindsight that wasn't bad. Buyers between 2000 and 2004 have seen appreciation of just 1.3% compounded annually. And what about people who bought after 2004? As the chart clearly suggests, don't ask. So it is pretty easy to see why consumers aren't so bullish on for-sale housing right now, but won't home buyers see better price performance in the future? Almost certainly, and probably soon. The dismal performance of the past few years is the result of the massive correction in the housing market. Homeowners should do better in the future. But how much better, is less clear. So let's take a stab at an answer. We know there are a lot of other costs, in addition to mortgage payments, that homeowners face. But there are also a lot of benefits, beyond potential financial benefits, which we have seen can be fleeting. We joked in an issue of the Apartment Advisor, many years ago, that home ownership may not be logical, but it is biological. And, in addition to the obvious costs of renting, there are benefits. You don't have to come up with a large down payment, and your monthly housing cost is lower. That means you can invest those monthly savings, as well as what you would have spent, on a down payment. Subscribers to the Advisor can download a spreadsheet model. It lets you compare owning and renting, based on a consideration of all costs and benefits. For this video, we created 3 scenarios. But you may want to change the assumptions based on your location, expectations, and other factors. The current issue of the advisor compares rents and mortgage payments, for single-family and condominiums separately. And it also breaks out these comparisons by county. As you might suspect, the results vary a lot based on location and product type. Here is the first of 3 scenarios. The chart shows that renting, and investing the down payment money you don't need to spend along with the monthly mortgage and maintenance cost savings, is more profitable if the rate of appreciation stays low, like the 1.3% annual rate for buyers between 2000 and 2004. If the rate of appreciation picks up to 3.1% a year, like it averaged in the 1990s, then it's a wash between renting and owning, at least for the first 20 years. After that, owning wins. But there's a long time to wait. If appreciation accelerates to its level in the 1980s, when it averaged 4.6% a year, renting is better if you plan to move within 5 years. If you plan to stay put longer than that, owning wins. We do expect home price appreciation to pick up and beat the dismal performance of the past decade. But how much? One factor that should limit appreciation is mortgage rates. It is likely they will rise. Higher mortgage rates mean bigger monthly payments, which cuts into affordability for consumers. At least some of the price appreciation in housing over the past 30 years was due to the fairly steady and very significant decline in mortgage rates. Without that benefit, don't count on the market repeating the appreciation rates we saw in the 1980s, and maybe not even those we saw in the 1990s. Patty, Mike and I hope you enjoyed this video and article. If you did, here is a shameless plug. Why not subscribe to our Apartment Advisor newsletter? It is ridiculously cheap, because it is filled with so much valuable information. And join us again, next Friday, for a new apartment market update. Goodbye.